Week 7 review coming at you from wannamakeabet.com. Your host, Jack and Cello. We're live. We're back. It's Tuesday night. The Week 7 is behind us as we approach the midpoint of the 2024 season. Is it still the midpoint after Week 8? Or is it
It's
after Week
interesting.
9?
Mathematically, it's hard to figure because 17 games. I guess with a bye, you could say it is.
It's actually Week 9 because there's 18 weeks. I believe there's 18 weeks in the season.
Oh, yeah.
With a bye.
17 games.
Yeah. 17
and a
games.
bye week for every team.
Yep. Coming off a 2-3 track record. It was tough, man. It was
coming
tough.
off that 5-0 last week. Going to go 2-3. It was a rough, man. We lost the Green Bay game by half a point. You know, Jordan Love with the 2 first half interceptions that you pointed out, which you can't do. And he's been doing that this year, which he didn't do last year, but got to give him credit. They came back. That kicker who never kicks anything kind of bailed you out of Survivor, huh? With that kick and got Green Bay through.
It was great. Thank
God. You needed that bad.
Let's go through the whole card. Starting with, by the way, so we shouldn't feel so bad going 2-3 because, I follow this guy. His name's Adam Chernoff. He's sort of a very well-known name in the industry.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
He runs a podcast every day called The Simple Handicap, and he goes through the card, and he's great. He's been doing this for 18 years.
Yep.
And he also is part of a professional gambling group called Right Angle Sports, and they sell their advice to people. They had an 0 weekend.
Wow.
They did not win a single game that they recommended to their
0-5
totals. Well, totals and size. I don't know the number. So
that's a tough percentage.
It's tough for guys. These guys do this for a living.
Yeah. I understand. Listen, the league's been really tough.
Hard, man.
We talked about it. The league's been really hard all year. It's not easy to handicap. There's so many injuries too, man. And there were some horrific injuries this weekend. I mean, Ayuk's knee bent the wrong way. Godwin's ankle popped out last night. His foot was the wrong way. I mean, it was just, it's a dangerous game, man. These guys deserve every dollar they get. I'm sorry.
They really do. All right, Broncos Saints. Let's kick it off Thursday night. Broncos were 2.5. You like Denver. I couldn't believe Bo Nix was a favorite in any game.
Even with the Sean Payton angle, I couldn't get you with. That was interesting. You know what? Saints were so banged up, Jack. They really had no players. They at a certain point when you're missing that many starters in the NFL, you just can't compete unless the other team gives you the game. And Bo Nix actually played well. He ran the ball well. Denver's running game was really good with McLaughlin and with Williams. Devonta Williams had a touchdown. So, they looked good, and Sean Payton looked like he was going in there to win that game, and they demolished the Saints.
Next one was Patriots-Jags. Was one of, I believe, 3 games where a team had a 10-point lead and lost the game.
Yeah.
Patriots went out 10-0. We were in the Hamptons. I was like looking to live bet the Jags, couldn't pull the trigger. But man, did they come storming back and win that game?
They did.
He had a stay. Coach Peterson had a stay of execution on death row. He avoids getting fired for at least one more week. Now they're going to face the Packers this coming week. But impressive win by those guys. They look good.
Yeah, their offense. You figured eventually they'd get it together with that offense, and they finally got a 100-yard rusher out of Bigsby. The receiver they got from LSU, I've been telling you about, has been great. He scored again. And Lawrence looked good.
And Thomas.
Yeah. Jr., right? Thomas Jr. Yeah. Yep. He's the guy who played with Neighbors at LSU with Jaden Daniels. Interesting here. Patriots are now 30-45 since they lost Brady.
Wow. what a stat.
Yeah. Not very good.
30-45.
So not good.
Eagles, Giants.
Oh,
this was crushing because we agreed on the podcast that Philly was going to stomp on these guys. Yeah. Something in my head got me believing that. Yeah. And I think it was the fact that Neighbors was going to play. that their injuries just weren't as bad, right? And I just started believing that they were going to put up a fight in this game, especially with the Saquon angle, the reverse side of the Saquon angle. But man, was I wrong. They never had a chance.
You know what? You were right in the respect that their defensive line played very well. They sacked Hurts a bunch of times, and they lead the league in sacks. What I was trying to get you to understand was how important Andrew Thomas is to them on the offensive line. They don't have a guy that can play. He's their only All-Pro. When he didn't play last year, they didn't win a game. So, and then that with the Saquon thing, I just felt like even though the line was 3, I thought the line was wrong. If you remember on the podcast, I thought it should have been more like 8 or 9. I mean, I just thought they were going to blow them out. Saquon had a day. John Mara didn't sleep, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah. You know what was weird in this game is that at the end of the game, both teams benched their quarterbacks. I thought that was really strange. It wasn't that type of game that I thought would warrant. Like Kenny Pickett came into the game for Philly.
I guess maybe just to spot. They felt like the game was in the bag, right? I mean, they don't even need why even risk Hurts being in there.
Just saying, it was odd. I found that to be odd. It was a division game. Why would you take Hurts out of the game?
It was just super one-sided. I didn't think they needed it. And also, I got to say, I was a little upset about the tush push at the goal line. I would have liked to have seen Saquon get like 2 more touchdowns.
Yeah. Why would you have him a prop on him?
No, I just felt like he deserved it. You know, he had 10 rushes, 170 yards. He had the long touchdown. If you give him 2 more, that's a day that people will remember. I got to say one thing also. I think it's ridiculous that Giant fans responded to him the way they did with the booing and the burning of the jerseys. I think is just stupid. The guy said numerous times in his career, I want to be a Giant for life. For about $2 million, maybe was it, or maybe $3 million. This guy, Joe Shane, decided to get rid of him, and Philly offered him the most money. I mean, like, who wouldn't go take the most money? I mean, I don't understand what people expect this guy to do. So they had a chance to sign him. Shane said no. John Mara, if you remember in the show over the summer, said, I have nightmares about him going to Philly. I'm not going to sleep well if he goes to Philly. And sure enough, he goes to Philly, and then it comes full circle, and he dominates the game. So I think the Giants have no one to blame but themselves. They signed Danny Dimes to the money. That was stupid. They didn't give Saquon the money. That was dumber.
Right. Next game was Seattle, Atlanta. I pushed you, sold you hard on.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Atlanta during the pod. We
ended up
putting them in our top 5.
Yes.
It was
great call.
Easy winner. Kirk Cousins, I think, had his worst game as a Falcon.
Yep.
Yeah, I predicated the whole thing on their sort of shitty defense, and that played out exactly as expected.
Yeah, Geno looked good, and I'll tell you, I was worried about Seattle's defense, and I don't know how you couldn't be if you look back at the last 3 games they played. I mean, losing to the Giants at home, getting blown out by San Fran, their defense is just a mess. And of course, getting that tough game they had in Detroit, but there's no shame in losing to Detroit. But I mean, their offense is elite, but the point is their defense wasn't playing well, but they had a pick 6 in this game. They held Atlanta to, I think, 13 points, which is hard to do. Atlanta's offense is decent. So you got to give credit to Seattle in an early game, flying all the way across the country and winning the game like that. They needed that game bad. They're right in it now because they're in that shitty division.
That was a big part of the handicap too. Kind of like, lose 3 straight. Atlanta won 3 straight.
Backs against the wall.
Yeah.
Mentality. And they had the players and they got it done. Great call by you.
All right, next one was Texans-Packers. We lost this game. This was your big pick. You
2.5.
The Packers. In hindsight, I actually believe the Packers was the right side. I mean, I don't know what you do about 3 interceptions, but Jordan Love has to be better. And I think if you take those, and I think if you look at the
total yards.
Yeah, the total yards per play, total yards per rush, per
totally.
Pass, they dominated.
Dominated the game. The Packers played great defense.
Yeah, but you always offset that with turnovers. And
Houston
has a great defense.
Yep.
And their offense is really, really struggling.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like we talk about it.
It's not just CJ. It's the whole. It's everything they do. So,
yeah, I mean, listen, I think they run the ball better this year with Mixon than they did last year with Singletary. I mean, at least they have a dual threat. Mixon's been really good. I think he had 2 touchdowns in the game. but they don't have Nico Collins, their best. He was the leading receiver in the NFL prior to that game, and now they're playing without him. And the guy that was subbing for him, Tank Dell, dropped a touchdown in the end zone on the first drive, and they had to take 3. So when you start kicking field goals instead of touchdowns, and you're on the road against a great team, and they give you 3 turnovers, and you're not turning them into touchdowns, you're not going to win. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. So I think Green Bay is dangerous. Listen, all the teams in that division are playing very good football.
Yeah,
me too,
I mean, I think they gotta. Jordan Love has to take care of the ball better.
He does, without question. Otherwise, they're going to be in trouble in games against Detroit and Minnesota and even Chicago, who's playing very good on defense.
Any elite defense, you just can't be throwing interceptions like that.
Nope.
Bengals Browns. This was I don't know if I'd call it the end of Deshaun Watson's career, but highly likely. And
that thing popped. You saw it.
The organization got lucky with the fact that he got hurt because it triggers that clause, which gets the insurance policy, and now it's the guaranteed money. There's an exception, and
I don't know, because I saw Adam Schefter say that they're on the hook for $72 million dead cap space for the next 2 years per year.
Well, I don't know. I don't know all the details. All I know is that him getting hurt was better than him getting benched.
Yeah.
From I don't know as it relates to the cap, but in terms of what they're accountable for the actual dollars is maybe that's what it's maybe that's what this is about.
Did you think the response of the fans was appropriate? I mean, chant like literally 60,000 people saying you deserve it at the top of their lungs is kind of cruel. I mean, my God,
it is cruel. And I saw all the tweets and every single commentator.
That was real, right? That wasn't AI. That did happen.
No, that was real.
Okay.
And what's interesting about that? It's kind of like they didn't. I mean, it happened. They didn't necessarily. It's a weird thing that they started chanting that, and there's a lot of truth in it, and that's what a lot of people in the media aren't admitting. But the truth is, like with them yelling, "You deserve it," there was a lot of karma that was coming to Deshaun Watson, and you know what? It's almost like they didn't decide to start chanting that; they just started doing it.
It's like Seth and Gerard's store. Goes around, comes around.
It just happened.
Right. But I'm saying what goes around comes around.
Right. Like you were accused by how many women of sexual misconduct?
Right.
You showed up, you played horrible. You were out of shape, which potentially led to this injury. I mean, there's just so much there.
Yeah.
Was it the wrong thing to be chanting? Absolutely.
Probably.
You know what had happened, and there was
if that's a career-ending injury, a guy ends his career on an Achilles thing, and his fans are booing, like that's kind of, I don't know. Listen, I understand the angst and the anger toward him because he's been so bad, and it's just such a bad deal the GM made, and the fans are pissed about it, and I get it.
Yeah.
Garrett defended him and said, he's really upset about it. That they would say that stuff, that he works hard. He's trying to be prepared every week. He stays late. He's doing the work. And it's just, the fans don't see that.
What's interesting is that I wonder how this will end, or the next chapter of this. And I was thinking about it today, and I kind of feel like, he'll rehab, right? And he'll be back next year, let's say. And at the end of next year, he'll be on the sidelines as like the backup or the number 3 quarterback, and something will happen, and he'll have to come back into the game. I could see it happening because I don't see anyone else showing interest, and with all the things with his salary, like why take him? So he'll be on the team through the end of the contract.
You're setting up a redemption moment, like a second chance.
Yeah, or could be.
Wow, you sure you're not Catholic? That's what we believe in.
While those same exact fans wildly cheer him.
Everybody deserves a second chance in life, Jack, right?
Well, especially in this country, we love giving people second chances.
Yeah, forgiveness is big.
Wrongdoing. Yeah,
forgive and forget.
Oh God! All right.
Anyway, the Browns almost covered. They only lost by 7, and they were getting 6.5. We stayed away from it because we tried to say to ourselves, we're not betting on bad teams. It was smart, but they were competitive. Cincinnati did not look great.
Yeah.
You got to admit, right?
You saw we picked up Bailey Zappi today, but you know what's interesting? Also, the organization has absolutely no interest in seeing
Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston play quarterback, and
he's playing this week.
That's exactly what's going to happen, and he
no.
actually gives us our best chance to win.
Jameis is playing this week, and I like the Browns
against Baltimore.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I do. They're going to be getting a boatload, and I like Jameis. Jameis can throw touchdowns.
Okay. Lions Vikings. Great game.
Game of the day. Game of the day.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't get you there, but I had them in my pick pools. And I had money on Detroit. I didn't think they should have been the.
Didn't Minnesota cover the? Wasn't it 2.5 or was it 1.5? They lost by 2.
Well, Minnesota was giving.
Oh, they were giving. Okay.
They were giving 1.5.
Gotcha.
Even before that last minute field goal, Detroit was covering. They were either going to lose by 1 or win by 2.
It was an amazing game. It came right down to the end. I think both those teams they know each other well. And that's going to be, I wonder if that would be something that we would see again in the playoffs, like somehow get to another one of those matchups would be pretty entertaining.
Yeah. Detroit is, to me, like destined for the Super Bowl.
They look like they are.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of football left and as we see with these injuries every week, I mean, God knows look at San Francisco. Did you ever think that they'd be looking like the Browns from an injury standpoint?
I think San Francisco's done. Yeah, they're done.
So we'll see. But I think Detroit, man, they're so dominant. And the way they run the ball and their offensive line, just everything about their offense is just unbelievable.
Yeah, really good. And listen, Goff's playing at a very high level. Goff's playing the best he's ever played in his life.
Yeah. And I think I also felt like in this game, it's sort of like the quarterback differences were pretty clear to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, like Goff is much better than Sam.
Well, I mean, he should be.
Yeah.
Darnold's a journeyman who's never had any success in the league at all until this year, and he's lighting it up. I thought Darnold made some really good throws in that game, like especially when they were down at the end, down 10. I mean, he threw a 60-yard dime to somebody. Yeah. I mean, it was unreal. So he's got the talent.
His decision making.
It's the turnovers. Listen, he's not. He's always turned it over.
You can't throw anywhere near that guy Branch.
He's been great.
If you're playing Detroit, and somehow he was always throwing toward him or near him.
He had 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Branch is playing crazy. He's playing all pro level.
Yep. So that was amazing. And then we had the stinker, Dolphins Colts, which surprisingly, like this game took so much money late. This was a hot game.
I loved Miami in that game.
Gamblers. I mean, I don't know why professional gamblers don't approach the games the way you and I do by saying, I'm not going to bet on bad teams. How could you fall in love with Miami?
Because I got to say, it was Miami was kind of a desperate team. They own that rivalry, and I think off the bye, Huntley, people had a little more confidence in him, and they had a 10-0 lead, and the defense was playing well, and Huntley got hurt. And when the minute he went out, that guy Tim Boyle came in. Tim Boyle is not an NFL quarterback. He should never see the field again. He actually should be released. I can't even believe they have him on the roster. He doesn't deserve to get paid at that level.
There's still, and I said this to you on the phone the other day, there's still no excuse to me for what Mike McDaniel did in that game and the way he called the plays. He was not getting, I don't care who your quarterback is, you have superstars on offense that have to get the ball.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you throw interceptions while trying to get those players the ball. You can't have Tyreek Hill and Waddle and Achane and all these guys like not touching it.
Yeah. No,
decide that your answer with your third string quarterback is to give it to someone who no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, I know. Maybe he was waving the white flag. I have no idea. I don't understand it either.
Man,
disappointing.
Titans Bills, and this was the second of a 10-point lead that got blown.
Sure did.
Tennessee seemed like the right side. There was a strange, I don't know if you saw this, but there was we always talk about officials. There was an officials moment in this one, how like a home team call. Basically Tennessee got the ball in the second half. They were driving. They were at midfield. what's his name? The quarterback for Tennessee,
Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph, like scrambled for a first down and got it. And the refs came running in and gave him a terrible spot. Callahan didn't challenge it, but it was
stupid.
It was obvious.
Yeah.
Next play, they get stuffed, and then it's 4th and something, and they fumbled. And
Changed the whole game.
Entire game just changed.
Yeah.
And Buffalo never looked back.
Yeah.
But it was that moment by an official that set that whole thing up, where they were marching down the field, and they made a great play and got a first down, and suddenly it wasn't.
Well, listen, we talked about this a few podcasts ago, and it did happen in a game last night where a very similar thing happened. They gave him a bad spot. They went to challenge the spot, and the eye in the sky buzzed down to the ref and said, it's a first down. And he came back on the thing and said, after review, it's a first down. And he moved the ball. There was no challenge. There was nothing. They need to do that at every game.
Right.
They have the technology to do that. They know exactly where the spot is. They have cameras. They know where it is. There's no more of this trickery and referees fucking teams over on stupid stuff like that. Because like you said,
I hear what you're saying, though.
Changes the game.
But in that situation, I think if Callahan challenges it, he didn't have the wherewithal. I mean, I get it. He's a first-time coach.
He might not have the angle. He may not have the guy upstairs.
I didn't get buzzed and say,
he didn't get buzzed. I mean, it's so much stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, Buffalo looked good in the second half.
Really good in the second half. And Amari Cooper scored his first game.
Yeah. And that's, I think it's actually like watching that's good fit for him, because I don't think he can get separation anymore. He still has great hands, and that's very suitable for the Bills offense.
Yeah.
Everything turns into a scramble.
Yeah.
Like when Josh Allen starts scrambling around back there, and it's just like everybody go try to get open.
Yeah, he can throw it to anybody. It's schoolyard ball. It's funny though. Cooper did actually like kind of juggle it. Like I was like, oh, he's still a Brown, like he didn't catch it clean.
Yeah. Oh, Raiders Rams. This
one screwed me at the end. I mean, I can't even believe where the Rams had an 8-point lead. They were commanding in the game. They were on the 30. It was a 32-yard field goal indoors in their building. SoFi, no wind. The Rams kicker missed the field goal. Can't believe it. With 3 minutes left, and gave the ball back to the Raiders. They marched it down. We talked about this. They had 3 plays from the 10-yard line and goal.
2 minutes and 48 seconds left in the game. First and goal.
Yep.
Second and goal. Third and goal. Fourth and goal. They kick a field goal.
He kicks a field goal to make it 5 just to cover the spread, and then never got the ball back.
Why?
Makes you wonder. I don't know. I have no idea. Pierce is a little bit weird with the math. It happened last year.
What's crazy? He had all 3 of his timeouts, and he got the ball back. That's the sickest thing. It worked
with like 15 seconds or whatever. Yeah, like he didn't really have time.
And then Minshew threw his 3rd pick,
and they lost their quarterback O'Connell. He's out multiple weeks. Another injury. There's so many injuries, man. It's crazy every week.
Yeah. So they're down to Minshew only. But man, that
one hurt because we
a big survivor play. But I mean, there were plenty of people who had, like you, who came to the ready at the window with the. Well,
this is the thing. I love the Rams on the podcast because I thought Cooper Kupp was back. He was supposed to play. And then right before the game, they said he was out.
Right.
So I was like,
that was big.
I had it in Survivor, but I didn't bet any units on it or any money on it because once I heard he was out, I was like, that hurts because I knew Nakua wasn't playing. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And they didn't cover. Listen, you got to give the Raiders credit for covering. I just don't understand. I mean, I guess it kind of worked because he did get the ball back. He used all his timeouts. They had one last chance, but I think you got to go for it there to try and tie the game when you're down 8. I don't understand that logic of kicking a field goal and maybe not touching it again.
Yeah, you're having a very elusive quarterback who, is prone to mistakes, but at least he has escapability.
Yeah, and you may get a flag in the end zone. You may get a 1st and goal out of that.
Right. He's got a great
it's just bad coaching. Bad.
Yeah, I agree. Panthers Commanders.
Absolute blowout.
Fucking runaway train.
My God. I mean, but
Talk
Jaden
about
got hurt.
injuries.
Yeah.
Carolina has no one on the team. Jaden Daniels is now going to be out.
I
Probably
lost my quarterback, man. Broken ribs. He got me 5 points. I mean, I lost my fantasy for that. And you know what? That's going to hurt. He's week to week. So
Yeah.
I don't even know who their backup is.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah. I have no idea who Washington's backup is. Absolutely no idea.
It is none other than Marcus.
Mariota.
Not only that,
he played well.
He was the number 1 quarterback in EPA, or I don't know about maybe in fantasy.
QBR?
EPA.
Oh.
Number 1 quarterback of the week.
Yeah, he had an amazing game against a shitty defense. I get it. But, Mariota's been around a long time. He's elusive. He can run. He makes a lot of mistakes. He throws a lot of interceptions. And those will come.
Backup to have on the team, though.
Yeah, totally. He's actually very good backup to have. I agree with that. But Washington is 5-2. They're one of these 5-2 teams that's going to be really, really dangerous. Their defense is getting better and better every week under Quinn, and they're going to continue to get better. They're dangerous.
49ers Chiefs. This one hurt me. It started with Debo, and I feel bad. He's in the hospital with pneumonia.
Yep.
Shouldn't have been out there. Then Ayuk gets hurt. They start dropping like flies. And when that happens, you're not going to beat the Chiefs. And the Chiefs didn't do much. I mean, I feel like, with the exception of those 2 like scrambles by Mahomes, like that was the game. Those 2 fucking scrambles by Mahomes.
Well, that and Spagnuolo's defense.
I was going to say, I take it back, because I thought, and I wrote this in the newsletter, I really thought the story was going to be the San Francisco defense, and it was the Chiefs defense. That was
But the smartest thing I did that morning after the French toast that we'd shared was take us off San Fran and put the Seattle in, because you had convinced me on Seattle, and in the contest we were getting 3.5, and the line was 2.5, so that was a big advantage. So we got off of that with my simple line, which I said on the podcast and said to you that morning: death, taxes, and Andy Reid off a bye. 3 things you can count on. 3 things you can always count on.
God.
Can't do it. Can't bet against that guy off a bye ever. Don't ever do it.
Meanwhile, they are so hurting. It's going to be interesting this week against Dallas, who they
San Fran, yeah.
Yeah.
Ironically, their healthiest receiver is Ricky Pearsall, their pick, who got shot in the chest during the preseason. He's their healthiest receiver.
Is that right? No, I think Jennings will be okay.
Jennings will be in there too. Mason looked okay running the ball. His shoulder seems to be a little bit better. It's going to be really hard for San Francisco. Really, really tough. I mean, they're missing a lot of stars. They're in the division is really weak that they're in, so they could still maybe win that with 9 wins, maybe. Who knows how the Rams play in the back half with Stafford and Kupp and Nacua. When they get them back, the Rams are going to be reckoned with at the end of the year. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. For sure. I agree. They're going to find their way to the playoffs somehow.
And with those studs, with Stafford, he's not going to quit in the second half. No. They're going to be dangerous.
And there's going to be a game probably against Detroit. That'll be insane.
Oh my God.
Against Detroit.
Again.
Steelers, Jets. This hurt, I think, every single bettor in this country. Every single person was wrong about this.
Yep.
And it was the exact same narrative. And I said it to you on Sunday morning. And
you did.
We're all wrong. And
everybody was wrong.
Randy Moss said it on NFL Today. There's a reason why we're sitting here wearing suits, and Mike Tomlin has been coaching for 18 years.
He knows his team.
It was going to be an upgrade, and he was right. And by the way, the first half, Russell Wilson was not good.
No, there was a lot of rust. He was kicking off the rust. He looked horrible. He got booed.
That was
listen.
The Jets couldn't capitalize, but that whole narrative of you don't change quarterbacks, blah, blah, blah. Everyone was wrong.
Yeah, they owe Tomlin an apology. I'll say this. The game, it was 15-6 with 3 minutes left in the second quarter, and Aaron Rodgers threw a ball down the seam where Beanie Bishop, who was an undrafted kid that made the team because he was unbelievable preseason. He's been one of our best corners. Basically turned his head 180 degrees, reached out his left hand, and picked off that ball with one hand. And then Russell Wilson marched the ball down. We scored a touchdown before the half. And then Rodgers later in the game got picked again. Garrett Wilson not using his hands. Ball hits him in the face, the chest, whatever it was. Bounced right into Beanie's hands. Another turnover. Game completely changed. So I think the Jets were outscored in that game 30-0. Or at one point, it was 15-6. And the final was what, 37?
30-15.
Yeah. So they I think it was. I think they gave up 30 straight points. I think it was 37 or 36-15 final, whatever it was. It was a complete turnaround. They handled TJ Watt pretty well. They doubled him every play. He had one knockdown. Keanu Benton made a really good play on the fourth down to knock down that pass over the middle. Rodgers was frustrated. His hand was bleeding. You know, Devontae didn't do much, right? He had like 6 looks, 3 catches, 35 yards. But
that started off like he was being targeted and getting open, but then all of a sudden, no.
Breece Hall had a great, Breece Hall is special. He had a tremendous first half. I mean, kid's unbelievable. They got to get him the ball more. They're not getting him the ball enough. They're not running the ball well enough. But the Steelers surprising 5-2. No one had that except me. But no one else had that in the country. Believe me.
Congrats. Everyone was wrong.
Playing good ball,
including you.
Yeah.
Ravens Bucks. This was the second game that I picked this week where a key injury, I felt like as soon that the game changed and turned as soon as that happened, as soon as Mike Evans went down after
we had a 10-0 lead in that game. Another 10-0 lead.
100th, touchdown.
Jets had a 10-0 lead.
Did they?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think so.
That was
no, maybe not.
7-3.
Yeah, 7-3. Mike Evans, when he goes down and then Baker throws 2 stupid interceptions. I mean, the ball he threw in the back of the end zone was horrendous. I don't know
awful
who the hell he was throwing to there. I mean, these turnovers, you can't overcome it against good teams.
Yeah.
You can overcome it against bad teams. Baker threw 3 interceptions the first half against the Saints. We talked about it. And then they blew him out in the second half because the Saints stink. Right. But you can't do that to Baltimore when they have fucking Derrick Henry rumbling for 180 yards and he's unstoppable. And Lamar was great last night.
At the beginning of that game when Baker was like dealing and scrambling and doing all this stuff, I was like, God, why did we trade him? Why did we ever trade him?
Yeah, you must say that a lot this year.
And then I saw the way he played after that. And it was,
you know what? Because Baker he does throw it in there. Like he's a gunslinger. Like he's a little like Favre with not as good of an arm. Like he's not afraid to try and squeeze it in, which kind of is what you were saying about Miami. Like at some point, let the kid throw the ball right to these guys. But sometimes if they're double teamed or they're covered and you're going to throw it right into double coverage, it's going to get intercepted, So it's like you live and die with it. The problem with Tampa is their defense was horrible. They couldn't stop anybody. Terrible.
Well, they've had problems in the secondary all year.
Yeah.
Baltimore really took advantage.
They sure did. And they got Andrews involved. He had 2 touchdowns. He hadn't scored a touchdown. He had 1 all year. He was doing nothing. Yeah. And Zay Flowers is great. Baltimore's fucking dangerous, dude. They're scary. Scary team.
That game, but they only lost by 10. That means
they let teams back in late in the game sometimes with their defense. They get a little lazy.
Yeah.
And Baker's going to fight to the end. He's just a natural fighter. He just goes to the end. Did the same thing last year in Detroit in the playoff game. He fought right to the end, threw an interception, and it ended.
Yeah, I remember.
So,
all right, Baltimore. Keeps.
And then we were on the right side. We had a win with Arizona. It wasn't the prettiest game. It was a lot of field goals. Harbaugh refuses to open up the offense. He's just going to run it and punt.
I don't think he has the weapons. I mean, he's got.
Yeah, he was throwing to a bunch of tight ends. Yeah,
they had a lot of weapons, and I think like we said, their defense was
played well.
Arizona was able to score, but I also think Arizona's defense is like a little bit better than they're ranked.
They played hard last night. I mean, listen, they made the play of the game in the first half where they gave up a deep pass for a touchdown, and as the guy was going in, he got stripped, and it was that over the goal, and Arizona got the ball on the 25. We've talked about this rule a bunch of times.
Touchback.
Oh,
I didn't see.
So Chargers were going to go up 10-0, and instead it was Arizona's ball.
Wow.
Play of the game.
Wow.
And they looked at it for a while because they thought maybe the receiver's foot went out of bounds before he fumbled, but it didn't. And it was clear. It went right into the end zone. The Arizona guy, it didn't even matter that the Arizona guy got it. I don't even know if he had 2 feet in, because once it goes over, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it goes out of bounds, it's Arizona's ball. He fumbled through the end zone.
Yeah.
Sickest thing. So Todd, I talked about this with Todd. Todd would do, his answer to that is to take that away and make it a 15-yard penalty and a loss of down. So he would, in that case, because it was a first down on a long pass and the ball was fumbled out of the end zone, he'd put it on the 15-yard line and make it down and make a loss of down. I don't know what else you can do with it. I think you have to leave the rule the way it is. It is really, really harmful, deadly penalty. I mean, deadly. It's one of the worst thing you can do.
I actually like it after thinking about it a lot.
After review.
Yeah, I just think it's sort of like, and the reason why they have it, it's so penal, is because of how important it is to be protecting the ball as you cross the plane.
You're goddamn right. They don't want guys diving. If you're going to dive and reach out with that ball, and someone knocks out of your hand,
yeah.
That's why Belichick, we talked about last year, he would tell his players, don't reach for the pylon. Just don't do it.
You can't resist.
But I will say this.
The irony of that play is that these guys, they do that on every single other play. So you can't teach them to not do it at the goal line.
I understand. I'll say this. I was right about Arizona. I was right about Kyler Murray. 1 week up, 1 week down. This week, he had a rushing touchdown. He played better. Arizona played better as a team. Whoever they're playing next week, I'm betting.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Kyler Murray never wins back-to-back games. Ever.
Is that a stat?
That's a stat. He doesn't win back-to-back games. I tried to tell you that last week. All right, so listen, let's do it on, I guess we'll do it Thursday night. Let's get back on this horse, because we are still over 500. We are 18 and what 17. Were we? Yeah. We're just one game over 500, but
51%.
All right, man. I'm off to hockey.
All right, man. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you guys back on this channel Thursday night, coming up to week 8. Last week to join Megabucks New York and Megabucks South. So if you're thinking about getting a second team or getting in, it's now or never.
It's also almost Christmas. You know what Christmas is?
What?
Tuesday morning after week 8, when everybody gets their units back.
I love it.
I can't wait for Tuesday morning.
Oh my God. Especially because you got 2 teams in the dungeon.
Double dip, bro. Did you see CD Donnelly, by the way? 250,000?
No.
He hit something in college.
Wow.
He's at 250 in Megabucks.
He usually blows it, by the way.
He will.
He's had the lead many times.
He's a gunslinger.
It's almost as bad as Brad with his USC bet.
That's great. All right, brother. Listen, I'll talk to you. I'll see you Thursday.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Nice.